This is your column with your high beam, low beam, light switches and so forth. What I'm looking for today is if this switch here fails and you no longer have a high beam, or you might only have a flick of a high beam. These are the three wires that you're working with here. You got your earth, which is your white wire with a black trace. Now we'll put that on low beam. Yep. And that's this is your low beam. This is a red wire, green trace, and I think there's a blue mark around it there. And that's your low beam. You see when I put it on high beam, there's no circuit there at all. Low beam, and then you got a closed circuit. High beam, no circuit. Put on high beam, closed circuit. That's all it is. So you got these two joined together. Obviously not this end of the switch, the other end. Join these together, you got high beam. Join these together, you got low beam. I mean, that's as simple as this switch works. It's a it's an earthing switch. It's not a power switch. So there is no power in this unit. It's all earth feeds. Okay, but what can go wrong in here is what we want to find out. So I'll pull this apart and we'll have a look further into it. And for those who are wondering, I actually have a dip switch on the floor of my van with a switch in between that allows me to flick between the column or the floor, the dip switch. Personally, with an automatic, I like having a dip switch on the floor. It's a quicker response if there's a car coming opposite way to flick between your high beams and low beams than it is to use the lever on the column. So first of all, I'm going to get this plate off the bottom and see if I have access to. This is the old column out of my September 92 Tarago. But I think we're all the same. Whether it be Previa Estima, whatever. Okay, so we've got four screws on the bottom holding this bottom cover on, and that's what I'm going to get to first. We're obviously looking at indicators in here as well. Actually, let me just investigate this a little bit more before I pull that apart. Might just take this off. And if this falls to pieces on me, there's no great drama because I'm not going to be using this one anymore. This is just keep it as a spares type thing, but if I'm helping anybody out by pulling it apart and having a look inside, then it's served its purpose as well. Watch out for that little ball bearing that's just getting away from me there. That's the arm off there. And there's just a a sliding switch inside there. Nothing too great about that. So let's get this bottom part off. Just want to separate all these cords. Okay, we've got this piece of plastic at the top here that stopped me from getting these bits of those wires out of there, so I wanted to take this part off as well. Okay, let's get this out of here. Okay, so that comes off in one piece there. That's good to know. This is your high beam, low beam mechanism here. So the whole unit is a unit within itself. Makes life a little bit easier. We'll get rid of that. The wires that are still connected to this arm is for turning your lights on and off for your parkers and so forth. They're not very heavy wires, so no load going through there. Now you got there 3 points here. Now this is probably the most common problem that anybody could have, is if a solder joint broke here, then you're going to lose your high beam or your low beam, or if the earth line here, the negative solder joint broke here, then you'll lose high beam and low beam. So this will probably be the first part to look at. If you've lost either high beam or low beam or both, you'll be checking the wires on here to make sure that there's no solder joints that's broken. Let's try and get this beast open. I have no fear of doing this. Generally good at putting stuff back together. I had no plan of attack. All I'm targeting is pulling it apart. So that's your indicator. Nothing to it there. Alright, so your high beam and low beam inside, it's only points. That's a very simple setup in there. Seriously, you wouldn't even be bothered to pull this apart. You'd just basically drown it with WD-40, and so the WD-40 would take away any corrosion, and get those points working for you again. This is a very simple switch, this is. That's for your height, that's for your flickering. If it was just a flash of high beam, so there's nothing in here at all that's a real big drama to fixing one of these. I don't even see how this could fail. Alright, the switch inside here, however, getting into this part here, that's a different story. I don't see any screws on this arm. this apart. Has to be away. Having greasy fingers now doesn't help. The 3 wires that come out of this for your parkers and so forth is only the red and 2 whites. So before I go pulling that apart and maybe completely buggerizing it, I'll just check that out. So we've got that one red which is up there. Not having a third hand, I'm just going to cheat. Get that to stick in there like that. Okay, the first white is 1, 2, 3. Oh no, not 1, 2, 3. I get 1, 2, 3, 4th one along. So that's for your main lights to come on, that one. That's that top wire there. 4th one along is your main lights, so the red and the white there is your main lights, which means that the other one is your parkers. So, and that's along the bottom section there. We got 1, 2, counting also the spots that don't have pins, because some of these devices have airbags and so forth. Mine doesn't, but we'll count all the spaces to that one there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 along. Should be that one. Get it in there. That's also your main lights. So those two obviously come on at the same time for your main lights. So I'll look at the 2 whites only then. So we got 5th along the bottom, 4th on the top. Okay, so far I've got the switch turned off, so there's nothing at the moment. Just check that again. Okay, so there's nothing on the book there. Parker's on. Okay. So the 2 white wires here joined together, you got your Parker lights. Join all 3 of them together, you got your Parkers and all your lights. I love how simple this car is. Everything about it is easy. Okay, so back to pulling this switch apart. Now I know that I could probably, there's a thread on this bar here that I could probably untwist this with, but not with this in the way, and there's no screw on here. It has to be able to come apart. You can't blame me for trying, huh? Alright, it's not going to come apart. So we'll leave it as that. They're let's put this back together first. If this was the fail with turning your lights on and off, I've just we've just learnt how to put a dash switch in, so to speak, to overcome that. Too easy. Putting things together is the fun part. Pulling them apart is easy. Oh, that's metal. So you can't really go wrong with that either. Like that's metal that the switch works on, not the plastic that I mentioned a second ago. Once that's in, the bearing is bouncing on metal. These really are a great van. I love them. Anyway. I won't put that back on just yet. I'm going to have a look at the other side. While I'm here, might as well pull the whole thing apart. There's all your wiper controls, water squirters. This is one of those jobs that a member on the Facebook page has no longer a high beam. The switch works properly, as in you can push the arm forward and bring the arm backwards, but it's not flicking between high beam and low beam, it's just staying on low beam. And that is interesting, actually, thinking about that, because this is only part joining two wires together one way or the other. If you was to put on high beam with this switch and the high beam solder joint or something is broken, your lights would just go out. They wouldn't stay on. There's nothing in this switch here that would keep that on in one position. So you'd be looking at probably a relay in that case. The relay's not flicking between either way, it's staying locked in one phase. So that's the place that I would be looking, is at the low beam relay. If it's not functioning properly, it's not doing its job, I would say that's where the problem is. Without actually being at the van to look at it myself, I can't investigate that any further, so that's just speculation really. Let's have a look at this now. Now you got this is your horn, a green wire, red trace and red tag on it. Those, little marks that go across, red tag, that's your horn. This is a common thing that goes, it's kind of like a Zippo flint. It wears down over time and your horn stops working. That's the most common problem with the horn. I've come across that already myself. Sure enough, we'll come across it again one day too. So let's get this out here. It's just only a little black clip that holds that little wire there on. Alright, so let's first focus on what's in the arm. So we got quite a few wires coming out of there actually. So we can work on this a little bit. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at, this would be your that's to turn your wipers on and off, and this is to control the speeds. So that's intermittent, that section, that's on, wiper washer, okay, let's make things interesting. Might need them in a second. So okay, what we've got here, we've got blue, black, brown, like a purplish, a light purple, orange and white. Might as well go the whole hog. Okay, glad I did that. And we're coming down to a single wire on 3 of these feeds. So we've got this black wire with a red tag, and that comes down to these 3 wires here. Now one of them turns the wipers on and off. Go into that section. Well, I don't know if you can see that, sorry. Got one of the heavier black wires going to this section here that turns the wipers actually on and off, and the other 2 are going to this mechanism here. So I think we'll start off with treating this one as an earth. It seems to be the common point. So we'll show you what he's doing. We've already got a point where we can do that at. It's factory like that. Okay. Let's see what we've got happening here, eh? So we'll start off with the orange one, which comes down to here. It's the that's on the first click. So that's for the this is for the rear wiper. That's intermittent, with the rear wiper on, intermittent. the white one above that. I've currently got the switch turned on. Yep, so with the switch turned on, rear wiper constantly on, that's that white wire. Okay, the light purple one is next to the white. I just bumped the white one, that's why it beeped. Okay, that's the rear wiper squirter, water squirter. I think. Yep. So we've done them three, now we've got the blue one. Now the blue one could only be the main front wiper squirter. So where's that blue one going to? Blue one's going to down here. Second one in up the back. Next to the blue with a black tag. Get that skinny blue one. Just got to get my hand position right on that. Let's make life a little bit easier. Not doing what I thought I would do. Make sure I got in the right section. Yeah, looks right. I might have a bad connection too. Let's do it back this way. That is not what the blue wire does. What does the blue wire do then? Oh, you gotta love it when things like that happen, eh? You've probably spotted that before I did. The other side of the multimeter came off. Okay, let's try that again. Yeah, I just love it when things like that happen. Yeah, so it is. The blue wire is exactly what I thought it was. The main water squirters. So that's those 5 wires worked out there. That was pretty easy. I didn't have to do anything with the first 2 because brown and black is the earth. So that's a no-brainer. Okay, so now with I would assume the switch inside would be pretty similar to the one that's on this side. It's all worked on points. So you got your point system inside, which would be not complete without looking at it. Let's have a look. Let's get this horn out of the way. I can't, I've folded it, so we'll just push that inside there. Let's have a look inside here. Actually, no, we will have a look inside, but not yet. Because I haven't opened it before, like this side. I didn't know what I was going to get. And turned out to be quite a simple process there. Nothing's going to just jump at you, or no springs are going to bounce in the sky. But we never know. So let's have a look at this side first. Again, let's put a earth on this. Get that to stay there. That's that black trace. And we've got that's in off position at the moment, so there shouldn't be anything. No, there's nothing. So then you go your first click, turns your wipers on, and that's to the intermittent wipers. I'm not getting any. Actually, I'm getting a bit of a resistance from yellow with black trace. That's the black wire. And you see if the yellow with black trace, not giving me a complete dead short, but turn the wipers off and there's no connection. Turn them on and there's a connection there. It's not a complete short, but it's nearly there. So that'll be what the intermittent one is for. You go wipers on, low. So the yellow trace of the yellow wire of black trace is no longer active. And I'm not getting anything at the moment. That's the black wire I just touched. So clearly this black trace and that wire has nothing in common. So let's go back to off. That's on the intermittent. And go to on. Okay, so it's those two. So we got blue, white trace, red tag, and blue, red trace, blue, red trace, red tag, and blue, white trace, red tag, and that's yellow. And we'll just make sure that those two wires again. Okay, so that's yellow, just those two wires, and that's yellow. And we'll go to high. I'm going to use the same blue because you've got that trace here that comes around there. I'm going to treat that blue, not black trace, sorry, blue, red trace. I said red trace again. Let's just have a look. Okay, so these two here, there's no other. No other short. So these two top ones here is for your wipers on high. That's your blue, white trace, red tag again. This time we've got blue, orange trace, red tag. So the three wires here for your high and low is these guys. So these two here is your low, these two here is your high. Blue, white trace, red tag. Blue, red trace, red tag. Blue, orange trace, red tag. They're your wipers. Okay, I'm just trying to work out why it would do this. So these three wires here is your high and low speeds for your wipers. When its wiper is off completely, then these two wires here become shorted out together, or closed circuit. So that's your blue wire, red trace, red tag. Blue wire, black trace, red tag. And why would those two be connected when the wipers are off? Now, it's not. Might come to me later after I finish making this video, but it's not coming to me right now. These two wires is the intermittent wiping. So if you want to put a delay switch on, like at the moment it's going to go at a certain interval. I think it's set at probably like every 15 seconds or something like that, the wipers automatically swing. So it'd be these two wires here, or mostly the yellow one, that's going to control that. And I'm not really too sure how that would work yet, but I do want to at some point put a actuator in so I can speed up that waiting process. So when you're driving with that rain and it's not quite raining, but it's not quite not raining, you know what I mean, that in between part, 15 seconds can be a bit too long to wait in between, but having your wipers on constantly is happening too much, and I'd like to speed that process up, have a happy medium between that. I'll work that out at another day. I still don't know what these two wires here do together when everything's off. Actually, it's on, but that's got nothing to do with that. Yeah, when everything here's off, what's these two wires have to do with each other? That's obviously going back to somewhere else, letting the car know that the wipers are off for whatever reason. But when you turn it on, do those two connect? Sorry about this video, but it's going to be a bit of a drag on, isn't it? But you want to be thorough. Yeah, it's on. Those two are still a closed circuit. Those are an open circuit when I get to, so on initial, intermittent wiper on, those two are still a closed circuit, and the multimeter turns itself off. Fantastic. When you go into low, those two no longer have anything to do with each other. When you go into high, those two have nothing to do with each other. But when you're on high, like I said before, I'll say it again now, blue, red trace, red tag, and blue, orange trace, red tag. That should be on high. Am I on high? Wiping it's on. Oh, sorry, my bad. These two top two, that's right. These two top two are the high beam. High beam. A high wiper, high speed wiper. So blue trace, blue wire, white trace, red tag. Blue wire, orange trace, red tag. That's your high beam. That's your high wiper. And nothing else is connected. When those two are on, there is nothing else. That just, I tap the same wire twice then. And there's nothing else that is on when those two are connected. When the high wiper is on. Low wiper is this guy here, not that one, sorry. Maybe you can see that. So let's get this right. Blue wire, black trace, red tag with blue wire, white trace, red tag is your low speed, and yep, so just those two wires. That's your low speed. These two wires is your high speed. The rest, you could probably just cut them and just use those three wires only for high speed and low speed, and forget the intermittent wiper altogether if you wanted to bypass this setup completely. Alright, let's move on from that. I'm dragging on a lot, so terribly sorry about that. Sometimes I do kind of dribble on a bit. Let's open this switch up. You can feel the spring mechanism there pushing against me there, so I'm going to hold this with my hand firm closed. I'll get this last screw out. Simple as. Really, what could go wrong with that? Okay, the only thing I can see that would go wrong with this is that this here is plastic. It's not a metal ball bearing, and it's going against the plastic there. If the arm ever became loose, it's this part that's worn down. See if I can get that closer to you there. Oh, we'll go there. That bit there would have worn down. I don't see how. Mine shows no sign of wear and tear at all. But if your arm becomes loose, then that's what it would have to be. If they don't turn it on at all, then possibly just a bad contact. That's really simple. Grease in there. This is electrical grease. Perfect, I've got a little wasp hanging around. I won't bother him if he doesn't bother me. Alright, so now I can put some electrical tape around this if I wanted to, but I won't. I'll leave it out like that. I might need this for another looking over again at a later date. So this is only, like I said, this is my old one. Everything's working again. So there shouldn't be any reason why you can't fix that. That's pretty basic stuff in there. So if you do have one that goes faulty, I would definitely be interested in taking it apart and seeing if there's something that you could fix. I'll put that plate on in a second. Well, that's about it, guys. There's not much else you can do there. It's pretty well simple stuff. Anybody could fix this. Most anybody could fix this. Most people, well, a lot of people wouldn't even tackle it, but honestly, it is not that hard. It just looks more than what it is. It's all simple stuff. So yeah, once again, thanks for watching, guys. Sorry to drag on a bit there with the colour of the wiring. Hopefully this has helped a few people out, and hopefully it's going to help a whole lot more people out in due course. Alright, till next time. Cheers, guys.